In the year 1503, Leonardo da Vinci was summoned to the court of Ludovico Sforza in Milan. He was already a force of nature, a man who could design a canal system, paint a portrait, and map the human circulatory system, all before the age of modern scientific tools. Yet, history often remembers only the smile of the Mona Lisa. What few remember is the restless, consuming mind behind it. He was a man who did not categorize himself, he simply observed. He saw the mechanics in the falling leaf, the geometry in the human bone, and the poetry in the flow of water. This was not the work of a single discipline, but the synthesis of all knowledge, a relentless curiosity that defied the narrow definitions of his time. He was a mind born in Vinci, in the Republic of Florence. Leonardo's early life was defined by a thirst for knowledge that could not be contained. His initial training was rooted in the practical world of art, learning from his father, and later, from masters like Andrea del Verrocchio. This early exposure was crucial. He wasn't just taught how to paint, he was taught how to see. He meticulously studied the way light played on fabric, the musculature beneath a toga, and the subtle shifts in emotion on a face. He understood that art was not mere decoration, but a scientific recording of reality. But the confines of a Florentine workshop could not hold the scope of his ambition. He needed a challenge far grander than portraiture, a stage where his career took him to Milan, where he entered the service of the powerful Sforza family. Here, Leonardo transitioned from gifted apprentice to sought-after engineer. He didn't just paint, he designed fortifications, hydraulic systems, and massive theatrical machinery. His notebooks from this period reveal a genius obsessed with motion. He conceived of gears and levers that could lift entire sections of a building, or allow men to navigate the air using principles derived from bird flight. He was solving problems that modern engineers would only tackle hundreds of years later. What if you had faced the limits of 15th century physics, yet possessed the theoretical knowledge of the 21st century? This period taught him the exhilarating, yet frustrating, nature of being too advanced for your own time. The next challenge, however, would pull him back. Returning to Florence, Leonardo's reputation as a painter was cemented by works like The Last Supper. This mural, painted in the refectory of Santa Maria del Grazie, is a masterpiece of dramatic composition and psychological depth. He captured the moment of ultimate betrayal, freezing raw human emotion into paint. But even this monumental achievement was fraught with struggle. The volatile materials and the changing political climate meant the frescoes suffered rapid deterioration, a physical manifestation of the struggle between genius and circumstance. He was continually pushed to create, yet constantly hampered by the limits of available technology and resources. This constant struggle taught him the profound difference between theoretical perfection and messy, tangible reality. He needed a field where the greatest leap in his understanding came through the study of anatomy. Leonardo understood that the body was the ultimate machine. He spent years dissecting cadavers, a practice that was often illegal and deeply taboo, to map the skeleton, the muscles, and the intricate network of veins and arteries. His anatomical drawings are not just artistic renderings, they are scientific blueprints, showing the mechanisms of the heart and the complexity of the vascular system with breathtaking precision. He understood that the artist must be a scientist, and the scientist must be an artist. These detailed studies, often preserved in his private notebooks, were revolutionary. What if the deepest understanding of life required the willingness to confront death itself? This obsession with structure led him down his intellectual curiosity was not confined to the body. He became fascinated by optics, hydrology, and even geology. He sketched designs for underwater diving suits, mechanisms to divert rivers, and sophisticated lenses. His notebooks are a bewildering tapestry of interconnected ideas, a machine for flight here, a study of river currents there. He wasn't simply compiling knowledge, he was building a unified theory of existence. He saw the underlying mathematical patterns connecting the curve of a smile to the flow of a river. This ability to see the universal connection between disparate fields, art and physics, life and mechanics, is the hallmark of his genius. Yet, this boundless curiosity often led to a lack of completion. Many of his grand designs remained merely sketches. The period of his life in Venice saw Leonardo grappling with the concept of time and permanence. He perfected the sfumato technique, the delicate, smoky blending of tones that gives his subjects such ethereal realism. It was a technique that captured the elusive quality of breath and memory. His works began to reflect a melancholy contemplation, a deep understanding of human transience. He realized that while his physical creations might fade, the ideas he generated were eternal. He began to view himself less as a craftsman and more as a chronicler of human potential. This shift in focus, from the finished painting to the process of thinking, was pivotal. It marked his transition from math. As the 16th century drew to a close, Leonardo faced a period of intellectual isolation. He spent time in Rome, surrounded by the weight of ancient history and the powerful church. Here, he continued his studies, but the patronage was fickle, and the political climate was unstable. His genius, once the most desired commodity in Milan, was now often viewed with suspicion or dismissed as mere eccentricity. He continued to refine his theories on geology, proposing that the Earth was not static, but subject to deep, slow forces. He was arguing for a dynamic, evolving planet, a concept that would only be widely accepted by modern science. What would happen to a mind that sees the future so clearly, but whose time cannot yet grasp its implications? The culmination of his life was a relentless, almost desperate pursuit of understanding. He spent his final years cataloging his observations, realizing that the true legacy was not in the finished product, but in the interconnectedness of the notes themselves. He filled volumes of mirror script writing backward, not just for secrecy, but perhaps because it was a physical manifestation of his desire to observe the world from an inverted perspective. These notebooks are the greatest artifact of his life, a library of pure, untamed thought. They contain diagrams of the human eye, showing the mechanics of vision, and detailed maps of water flow, predicting modern hydraulic power. These weren't just ideas, they were fully articulated. Leonardo da Vinci died in France, having lived a life of astonishing intellectual breadth. He never achieved the unified status of a modern scientific genius, partly because the world was not yet ready for him, and partly because the sheer volume of his work was too vast to be contained by any single academic institution. He left behind a legacy not of singular masterpieces, but of profound questions. He taught us that the boundary between art and science is not a wall, but a continuum. Every brushstroke, every gear design, every anatomical sketch speaks to the same relentless curiosity. He forced humanity to ask, what if? What if we could see the world through the eyes